Joining me live is Queensland Katter Australia Party leader Robbie Katter. Good afternoon to you, Robbie. Thanks so much for joining us. As we just heard there from Georgia, one of the main issues, the power outages, have got quite a number of people with no power potentially for up to a week. What are you hearing?
Yeah, and that's the issue, and there's no question around that, Joni. I mean, it is what it is, and do our best to deal with it. And you can't blame too much on government, but I would say it's a pretty convenient time for them to, when we were facing the load shedding and we sort of had a compromised system before all this happened. That now, when you do have a compromised system, I'm sure that doesn't help. So in Queensland, we've had increased failures of our main baseload power, the coal-fired power station in the Bowen Basin nearby, so I guess that's a good time to stop and reflect about that, and I think the recovery, it's just something to wait and see, because as you said, it's been underwhelming, sort of the impact of the cyclone, other than that power, but it's going to still hit through the inland, and I think probably I'd say tongue-in-cheek, most people won't be waiting for BOM's advice, because BOM's been a bit of a dirty word for the last 6 months, and certainly in the western areas, after they predicted an El Nino and dry, and a lot of people adjusted their agribusiness to the BOM's advice, and here we are with the wet weather. So I'm not too sure people will be relying on BOM's advice for the future.
There is at the moment severe weather warning for heavy rainfall in and around part of your area as well, and looking at our meteorologists, who get it right, of course, every time. We're certainly talking to Rob Sharp. There's a lot of different computer models suggesting that there could be some pretty heavy rainfall coming through in Queensland, possibly really focusing on the southeast of Queensland. But for today, what are you seeing with those storms around?
Yeah, very severe. I live in Mount Isa, based in Mount Isa in Cloncurry yesterday, and we had some wicked storms coming through here, very violent. I tipped about 65 mil out of the rain gauge before, and I expect that's going to be similar inland. I wouldn't be surprised at all through that central west area, and again, a lot of our road networks, you've got single lane or some compromised sort of bridges and crossings and things, so that can mean that we've got groceries cut off. We had one of our main highways cut off just, I think it was last Saturday. So, and that provides all sorts of logistical nightmares, as you can imagine. And I'm sure we'll be faced with some adversity at the back end of this, but we're really waiting for the impact of that. It wasn't as bad in Townsville, Charters Towers, as we were expecting, Ingham and Eyre, but I think as it moves inland, I think we'll have some problems to deal with.
And are you satisfied with the government support package? Senator Murray Watts suggesting, as we just heard before, as an immediate payment to people affected. It was up to $900 for a family of 5. Is this enough?
Yeah. Look, I guess anything's appreciated. I will make the observation that in Burketown, the exact same thing happened this time last year, in a small town, very far remote northwest of Queensland and the Gulf, and there was houses with water up to the top window of their house, and people displaced everywhere, and they were shut down for at least a week. And we got $150, I think, was the offer made by the government to people as assistance, and it was a cap on all businesses. There was very little assistance at all. And then when Cairns was hit by the cyclone, I wouldn't begrudge them anything, but they were talking about $900 to $1,000 for people straight up. And the defence was moved directly in. We didn't get defence up at Burketown. So it seems to be the closest you are to the voting centres, the more attention you get from the likes of Murray Watt. So, and he was out of Burketown last year and facing exactly the same thing in the remote town. So we're a bit cynical that once it moves out west, we won't get the same assistance from the government. But I certainly don't begrudge any of those people who had those losses. And it's worth remembering that they estimate, they're saying it could be as high as 25% of North Queensland is now not insured. People are getting quotes of $12,000 to insure a house in parts of Townsville, and certainly even through the western areas where I live, it's skyrocketed. So it's becoming cost prohibitive, and I think that's a scary statistic that anyone in Australia would appreciate. Where over 20% of your market is uninsured, that creates some pretty big problems. So we need the government to make that reinsurance pool work.
Yeah, it's certainly been a big topic, and hearing over the course of the last few weeks or so about the premiums that have gone up for many people paying insurance.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you add that to the cost of living. We've got to double down, and I mean, I'm probably jumping on to those tax rebates, those tax changes that the Prime Minister's brought in. But again, that's it's another bitter pill to swallow out in these western remote areas. If you're a business out here, you have to pay overs to try and get people to attract people to work in these areas. And so I guess Anthony Albanese's government think we're the rich people that can pay more tax, but you couple that in with the cost of living. We're paying up to 4 times as much for insurance as others in the state. Your airline costs, your freight costs, your fuel costs. We need to get fuel under $2 a litre on any component of the fuel. Everything is a lot harder out here. So when you exacerbate that and you don't take care of issues like insurance, and you're going to have a bit of a problem trying to operate some of your industries that in these remote areas. Not everything can be done remotely.
And do you have any suggestions or ideas on those new stage 3 tax cuts and what you potentially would change or keep?
Well, I guess I could speak with certainty about these remote areas. Is the zonal tax rebate hasn't been indexed for something like 30 or 40 years. So someone like me living out here, you get an extra $500, $1,000 for living out here, but the cost of living is extraordinary. And I would argue, and some people say, well, you choose to live out there, Robbie, but if the likes of me and others don't live out here, where you don't have mines and agricultural industries operating, and good luck trying to run the rest of the economy without them in the absence of those. So you can't just say, good luck. You need to do a bit more than that. So it's a good time to have a discussion about the zonal tax rebate. I mean, I could say the obvious is all politicians lose when someone tells big porky pies or doesn't disclose, brings out these things without disclosing it early on. So I guess that reflects badly on everyone, and all politicians, the fact that they've done that, but also the reason the government are going to have to be, well, they said it's a net increase to them, but I mean, they're going to be looking at all sorts of exciting ways to try and bring more revenue in areas, because the main pillar of their economy is this pursuit of renewable energy. That's a $60 billion cost in Queensland alone that they're spending to pursue an ideology on climate change. And we're going to save the rest of the world by making one of the primary cost of living components extraordinarily high and keep increasing, because we're going to save the world. So, if he wants to go on those campaigns, I guess that's fine, but we're going to keep getting hit with these sort of things, because that's what you do when you're running out of ideas how to steal money off people.
Yes, plenty of discussions there and topics that we'd love to chat further, but we've run out of time. But Robbie Katter, thank you so much for joining us, and stay safe in Queensland, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Janie. Great to talk to you.